Rain slid down the grocery store's glass windows in soft silver lines, turning the world outside into a blur of headlights and reflections. Inside, warm lights hummed above aisles filled with fresh bread, canned soup, and the quiet murmur of tired shoppers trying to finish their day. Among them walked Emily Carter, a young woman with a hoodie pulled low, hands tucked into her sleeves, and exhaustion clinging to her like a second skin. Emily worked long shifts at a small café across town. She saved every spare dollar, lived in a tiny apartment, and rarely treated herself to anything beyond the basics. But despite all the burdens she carried silently, she had a heart that always noticed others, even when no one noticed her. As she waited in the checkout line, she saw an elderly man ahead of her. His hands trembled as he placed a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and a few cans on the counter. His coat was worn, his shoes patched, and his eyes carried the weight of loneliness and forgotten years. When the cashier read out the total, the old man froze. His lips quivered. I thought I had enough, he whispered. He dug through his pockets again and again, but they were empty. People behind him grew irritated. A woman sighed loudly. A man muttered, "Hurry up!" A teenager rolled his eyes dramatically. The old man's shoulders sagged with defeat as he reached to return the items. Emily stepped forward. "Sir, please, let me take care of it." He turned, stunned. His eyes glistened. "No, child, I can't let you do that." "It's all right," Emily said softly. "Really, let me help." She swiped her card without hesitation. The groceries were paid for instantly. The old man's eyes filled with tears. "You have no idea what this means to me," he whispered, voice cracking. Emily smiled gently. "Just take care of yourself." She didn't want praise. She didn't want attention. She just didn't want him to walk home hungry and defeated. But as the old man slowly walked toward the exit, Emily failed to notice one thing. A man in a long black coat stood near the door, watching her with an intensity that chilled the air. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't browsing. He was observing Emily with focused eyes, memorizing her face, her movements, the quiet kindness that others overlooked. Outside the store, 2 black SUVs were parked across the street. Slick, tinted, unmoving, like predators in the rain. Emily walked home unaware that she had just stepped into the center of someone's attention. Her neighborhood was quiet. The kind people passed by without noticing. Her old apartment building creaked with age, water dripping from rusted pipes whenever it rained. Emily unlocked her door, stepped inside, changed into dry clothes, heated leftover pasta, and curled onto her worn-out sofa. Hours passed peacefully until the night cracked open with the sound of engines. At exactly midnight, 3 black SUVs pulled up in front of her building. Their engines didn't turn off. Their doors didn't open. The vehicles simply waited. Emily peeked through her blinds, heart hammering against her ribs. She didn't know these cars. She didn't know these people. Fear crawled up her spine like icy fingers. The SUVs stayed for an hour, then quietly drove away. But their presence lingered in Emily's thoughts long after the sound of their engines faded. Morning came heavy and gray. Emily tried to dismiss the strange events, but dread clung to her all the way to the cafe. Customers ordered coffee, co-workers joked around her, but she kept glancing toward the windows, expecting to see those dark vehicles again. At 4:12 p.m., the cafe door chimed. 3 men walked in. Not rough, not loud, but controlled, precise, professional. Their eyes scanned the room until they locked onto Emily. The tallest one approached calmly. "Emily Carter?" he asked. Emily froze. "Yes? My name is Daniel. We need to speak with you regarding yesterday." Her stomach twisted. "The grocery store?" "Yes." They asked to speak outside. The manager allowed it, assuming it was personal. Emily stepped out into the cool air, fear tightening her chest. Daniel continued. "The elderly man you helped yesterday. His name is Arthur Wells." Emily frowned. He didn't look like someone named Arthur Wells. Daniel gave a small smile. "Because Mr. Wells chooses humility." Another SUV pulled up, sleek and silent. The back door opened and the elderly man stepped out. Only this time he looked completely different. His posture was straight, his coat elegant, his eyes sharp with intelligence and quiet authority. He smiled warmly. "Emily, thank you for helping me." Emily blinked, shocked. I didn't know." I didn't want anyone to know, he said gently. I wanted to see how people treated me when I had nothing. He explained that he was a wealthy businessman and founder of a major charity foundation. For months he had been testing people, trying to find someone who helped without expecting anything in return. You were the only one, Arthur said softly. Everyone else ignored me or judged me for how I looked. Emily looked down. It wasn't a big deal. Just groceries. Arthur smiled. It's never about the amount. It's the heart behind it. He invited her for a short drive to explain more. Emily hesitated, fear still lingering, but something about his voice felt safe. She agreed. Inside the luxurious SUV, Arthur explained his foundation, his struggles, and his desire to find someone with a truly compassionate heart to help him lead it. I can train people in skills, he said, but I cannot train them to care. And you, Emily? Care without hesitation. Emily shook her head. I'm just a café worker. I don't know anything about leadership or foundations. Arthur placed a gentle hand on hers. Let me show you what you're capable of. And he did. Over the next few weeks, Emily's life transformed. She was introduced to the foundation team, given training, allowed to attend meetings where decisions shaped lives. She traveled with Arthur to visit shelters, food banks, orphanages, places where every dollar mattered. Slowly, Emily began to bloom. Her voice strengthened. Her confidence grew. Her decisions became sharp and thoughtful. But as she grew into her new role, she began noticing troubling signs. Certain programs weren't receiving funds. Documents were missing. Financial reports didn't match real spending. Someone was stealing from the foundation. Not small amounts, millions. Arthur looked tired, worried, betrayed. I trusted so many people, he confessed softly. Emily realized she was the only one who wasn't tangled in old loyalties or politics. She had fresh eyes, eyes that noticed what others ignored. So she investigated quietly. She stayed late at the office, compared documents, cross-checked dates, watched security footage, listened to conversations, connected small clues. Her heart pounded the night she found the truth. The man behind the theft was Richard Halden, the senior director, a man who had been with Arthur for 15 years, a man who pretended to care about charity while secretly funding private accounts. Emily printed every piece of evidence and took it to Arthur. He read the files, eyes filling with disbelief and pain. I trusted him like family, Arthur whispered. The next morning, a board meeting was held. Richard walked in confidently until he saw the mountain of evidence. His face drained of color. Arthur stood tall. You stole from the poor. You stole from the needy. And you betrayed every value we live by. Richard tried to argue, but the truth was undeniable. Security escorted him out. Police arrested him. The media exposed him. And Emily had saved everything. In the months that followed, Emily's position grew stronger. She became one of the foundation's core leaders. She helped restructure programs, restored lost funds, expanded outreach, and ensured transparency. Emily moved into a better apartment. She traveled across states for humanitarian missions. She spoke at events with a confidence she never knew she had. And she never forgot where it all began. A rainy evening in a grocery store, a trembling old man, and a simple act of kindness. A year later, standing on a grand stage before hundreds of people, Emily shared her journey. The world changes, she said softly, when we choose kindness, even when no one is watching. Because one act of compassion can rewrite the fate of not just one life, but many. Arthur smiled proudly from the front row. Emily's voice trembled with emotion as she ended her speech. I didn't become who I am because I was smart or wealthy. I became this person because I refused to look away when someone needed help.